Hey all, William here. This is the 6th development update video for Manifold Garden. It's been a while since I've done one of these, mostly just been really busy working on the game. Since there's been a lot of new changes, I'd like to start with a brief overview of what the game is about and some of the new mechanics. So, Manifold Garden is a game that explores a universe with a different set of physical rules. You start by learning how gravity works. If you've seen Inception, you might remember that scene in the dream world where they fold Paris in half and then start walking up the wall. That's similar to how gravity in Manifold Garden works. You can change your orientation and walk onto any surface. From here, you start to learn some of the basic puzzle elements. There are buttons you can press, boxes you can use to light up triggers. You do need to be in the same color orientation, so you can only pick up red cubes while in the red gravity, and so on. So here's an example of a puzzle where you want to use the blue cube to light up the blue switch, but when I release the cube, it falls down off the switch. So what I can do is actually switch into the green gravity and then use the green cube as a shelf to hold up the blue cube. The cubes are actually fruits that grow on trees. Anyway, eventually you make your way outside, and this is where the game opens up. Here the world wraps around itself in 3D, so when you fall off an edge, the screen doesn't fade to black and respawn you. Instead, there's just another instance of the world beneath you. This property also applies to objects in the game. For example, I can drop a cube off here, and it'll come back down from above as it is now stuck in a loop. The last update video was originally made in June 2016. A lot of work has been done on the game since. One of the major changes is that the underlying architecture of the game has been overhauled. Previously, all the levels were being loaded up front. This resulted in a load time at the beginning of the game for about a minute, and that was with only a quarter of the game's content. Obviously, this wouldn't have scaled. The new system loads levels dynamically in the background during the game. To make this process smoother, each level is actually broken up into smaller components, which are then loaded over the course of multiple frames. There is now also a save system in place. Manifold Garden does persistent saves for everything, so nothing gets reset and all objects remain in the same state as you had left them. This actually turned out to be quite tricky to implement due to the dynamic level loading system. You can affect objects across levels, which may not always be loaded, so the system needs to take that into account. On this note, I've also overhauled the menu. There are still some bugs here and there, but at least the visual design and flow of the menus is in place. There's now a new art style for the water. Previously, the water was just a moving texture and it would appear and disappear instantly. The new one grows and dissipates accordingly. It's stylized to fit the art direction of the game, but still conveys the fact that it is water. We've also smoothed out the tree growing animation. Another big change is we've switched to using stencil buffers for the portals instead of render textures. This offers a lot of advantages, the main one being that it makes the transition completely seamless. We also now are able to have a portal render inside of a portal, creating recursive portals. This lets us set up environments like this one. Finally got around to adding a mechanic that I've had planned for about 3 years. Basically, we have these small models of the world and you can shrink into them. Originally, this was to address the problem of a player needing to find their way back to earlier worlds. It acts as a fast travel system, but it also demonstrates that the universe in the game is recursive and made up of smaller versions of itself. So, in terms of how the rest of the game is doing, we've got the first half of the game connected up. We started up on the PS4 version again. And starting next month, I'd like to get into the rhythm of sending out weekly builds and getting design feedback and iterating on that. Anyway, that's it for this time. Feel free to leave your feedback in the comments below, and you can also ping me on Twitter or stop by one of my streams on Twitch. You can also add Manifold Garden to your Steam wishlist now. Okay, I will see you next time.